I'm Bob Crawford.
I'm Ben Sawyer, and this is The Road to Now. How's your roads, Bob?
Oh my God, my roads are icy. They're icy. You know, Ben, I'm on a 2-hour delay.
Are you?
I'm on a 2-hour delay. With my kids were out of school for 2 weeks. So we come back from Christmas and they're in school for a couple days, and I think they missed a couple days that first week, and then they went for like 2 or 3 days the next week, and then we've been out of school since the middle of January, and here we are, cutting into February, and they went back to school today. We're recording this on Thursday for Monday, and they were on a 2-hour delay. So their first day back to school was a 2-hour delay, and thank God for school. Thank God that there is school, that we have a place to put them.
When there is, I mean, this is what's crazy is like, I get that you got to be careful with things. But on Monday here, MTSU was out for a whole week. And I will say this, you got to be careful out there. But there was never an extended period of time where I couldn't get anywhere. I mean, I have like a 4-wheel drive truck, and I have good tires on them.
We have the same truck.
We have the same truck.
We have the same truck.
Bought them independently.
Yes, that's right. Yes.
Men of similar taste.
That's right.
So I was like, fine getting around. I understand you got to stay out. It was a whole week we were out, which is maddening for me. But then we go back on Monday. We live 3/4 of a mile from Solomon School. And we live 30 miles from MTSU. MTSU was back in. We got there fine. But apparently the 3/4 of a mile between here and Solomon School was out. So Bob, guess what? We took Solomon to class. Solomon has been going to MTSU his whole life. He's 11 now. We let him walk around the campus, go to the library.
He's adapted. He's very adapted to the environment.
A lot of people know him there now because he's just been around. But Solomon got the cops called on him.
Why? Was he protesting?
No, not even.
What was he doing?
He committed the crime of being a child walking around on a college campus, and some people were like, he's lost, and 3 police officers brought him back.
And so he told the officers, like, hey, my parents work here. This is where their office is.
Yeah.
And what did they say to you? Did they send you a ticket? Did they give you a ticket for?
No, what was I doing? I was teaching at the time, I think it was. So they took him actually to my wife's office. My wife was in a faculty meeting, and she got a text like, the police are here with your son. She was like, what did he do? But I got to say, if you've got to have your kid brought back by the police, this is a pretty good one, because his crime was being born in 2014, apparently.
Yeah, his crime was being the child of 2 intellectual college professors, right?
Yeah.
And so I know that few of you have had the pleasure to meet Solomon, but he's very articulate for his age.
He is, and he's
very smart, very articulate. So I could see him interacting with the cops in a way of just making their job easier, I guess.
Yeah, he did, but I think he was confused. But I think the greater picture of things, like, he is a victim of a crime of not allowing children to actually go out there and gradually build ownership of their own lives. I mean,
right,
he's on a college campus in the middle of the day. Both his parents are there. He knows people in tons of buildings there. People know him. And I don't know. It was just funny that it's like, people are like, why are kids having trouble like adjusting these days? Like, why are we having like trouble getting people to kind of grow up? And I'm like, well, I don't know. When you were 11 and you were allowed to walk across a college campus to go to the library to read books, and you got pulled over by the police. Whew. Oh, it's not the worst experience getting pulled over for no reason these days, but it's certainly not a good one.
Well, I'm sure he'll learn from it, and he'll develop a pretty intense fear of law enforcement.
I hope he doesn't. I told him, if they stop you again, remember, yes sir, no sir. But he needed to do a better job of explaining his situation. I think he was just like, my name is Solomon and my parents are professors.
Yeah.
So anyway, Bob, big news for you. You got a book coming out.
Yes.
The work of labor, of a long time of labor. I know firsthand, talking to you, how much work you've put into this, and it's nearing completion. It
is. In fact, last week I got the actual books. Because first you send out galley copies, and that's what you have, Ben, and that is what you send to the media and all that kind of stuff. And so then you make some final edits and proofreading, and there's that process, and then you get the real cover, the real book. Exciting for me. I didn't know they were coming. And so I went out, I had a bunch of boxes on the front porch, and I brought them in one Friday night, and I opened it up, and there was the book, and it's got the cover on it and all that kind of stuff, but I love books. I love taking off the covers.
Yeah.
You know? And I just, that on the spine there, America's Founding Son by Bob Crawford, Zando publisher. The title of the book is America's Founding Son, John Quincy Adams from President to Political Maverick. And if you get a copy of the book, which is available for pre-order now wherever fine books are sold, it says my name at the top. It says bassist for the Avett Brothers and co-host of the Road to Now podcast.
There you go.
Right here on the cover of the book. So yeah, it's unreal. It's surreal. And I'm excited to get it out there and talk about it.
It's pretty cool that, Bob, that, usually when you put something to let people know who you are, like you'll be like, if you're a comic, you're like SC on the Tonight Show. Bob, what I love about your book is that your two lines of credibility are both things that you worked and created too.
Yeah. And they're kind of all from the same, because Ben, you are part of the Avett family in that you've literally grew up with them.
Yeah.
Like you literally grew up with them. And Dane, who I consider we're all part of the same family. And I met you through that family tree, so it's really, it's fitting and it's really special. And, it's just, it's incredible. I can't believe that I did that. I can't believe I wrote a book, and, I'm really excited about it. And I love it. I love, I love it, but like, of course, I'm like, oh, why did I not add this? Or why did I add this? Or that edit, I should have edited that. And I always feel that all the authors I've spoken with, they say you wind up hating your books, but I really feel good about it. And I love the subject and the time period that I talk about. I believe it's very relevant to today. And so thank you so much, Ben, and you, if we didn't get on this journey together, I would have never written this book. So thank you, Ben, for helping guide me along this path of historical learning and education. You are the most important person in that.
Dude, thank you. That means a lot, Bob. This is, I've one of the things I've realized about my life is that, I find fulfillment in getting assists. You know what I'm saying? And it is so cool, to see you doing this, and the fact that you appreciate it, man. And and that we have built this together. And, one of the things I started off teaching in all of my history classes is that we can't control when, where we're born. Everybody shows up into a story that's been written for them, and your job is to write the next chapter. But you don't do that without backstory.
No.
We're all part of this family, but it doesn't just come from being born into it. It comes from the work, right? From the hustle. So I'm happy. You guys go get that link. Check out the link in the description below. Get this book. One last thing I want to say. Bob also reads the audiobook.
I do read. Yes.
Bob, there's nothing better than a book read by the author.
And that's how I feel about it, because I listen to a lot, like you and I both, like Ben, I think that I think we've discussed this at times, we have to interview so many people, and it's such you can't read all the books all the time every week to interview the guests, but we believe in consuming the book. It's only fair for us to read the book so we can really, intelligently speak to our guests. So often I will, they'll send us a book or a PDF of a book, and then I'll go to an audio book retailer and I'll download the book so I'm reading, and then I'm out doing, and I'm constantly consuming the book. And last year, I don't have the study in front of me, but I was so excited to see a research study that was conducted somewhere, and that listening to a book and reading a book, it stimulates the same part of your brain.
Yeah.
So it's not too far off, and so that made me feel good.
I wonder if you're listening right now. Hit us on social media. How many of you guys get both the paper and the audio copy of the book? Because I know it's 100% of the hosts for this show do that a lot of the time.
We do. It's important. It's the only way that we could. The only way I can say for myself that I can consume the book in the time we have before we speak to the guest.
Yeah.
Especially if you have a busy week, because Ben and I have a million things we do besides this. And so some weeks things get really crunched.
This is funny. I worked 12 hours yesterday and had 2.5 hours in a commute on top of that. And I woke up feeling good. You guys check out the book. I want to say this now, though, because I've never said this on the podcast. Most of you guys who listen a long time, you know that I had cancer and that I had surgery it's about a little over a year ago. I had my 1-year chest scans and I'm totally clear. And let me tell you, my work capacity, like my energy level, I wouldn't recommend getting cancer, but it is a bizarre thing to be a 47-year-old man with way more energy, feeling tons better than he did at like 43.
After chemo and radiation.
Yeah.
And surgery.
Well, it turns out a tumor will suck it out of you, man. So you guys out there listening, go get colonoscopy if you need one, if it's that age. Go get checked. Don't sit around and wait. I know some of you guys are like, I'm busy. Let me tell you what's real busy. Doing cancer treatment.
Yeah. Don't be a colonoscopy denier. Do not be a colonoscopy
Please
denier.
don't be.
You got to get on the schedule. My schedule's every 3 years. My wife is every 20 years. I'm jealous. Or no, maybe every 10 is every 10 years. She's 10 years. I'm every 3 years. I'm 2 in. I'm a polyp making factory. I got a polyp farm inside my colon, apparently. But that's why you go. You go as often as they tell you to go. You get it checked out. And if something in the meantime doesn't seem right, you get it checked out. Right, Ben?
Yep, absolutely. And always get a second opinion. That's the best advice Bob Crawford ever gave to me whenever we first started off. So don't be in denial. I know sometimes you'll feel something and you'll be like, I think I'm past it. Just take care of yourselves. We need you around here. It's a pretty good place to live, this earth, and you're part of it. We'd like to keep you around.
Do you watch the show The Pit? Have you watched the show The Pit?
No.
On HBO Max?
No.
It's like it's got the guy Noah Wiley from ER.
Okay.
But it's like he's not that character, but it is like a really gritty. And if you've been in the medical, unfortunately, we've both had a lot of like serious medical experience in our lives. And so if you're familiar with hospitals and ERs and emergency situations, it's pretty gritty. And I've read articles from doctors saying that, this is pretty legit. Anyway, it reminded me, of something I saw on The Pit, because the people come into the ER and they're like, oh, it's just this. And they're like, well, let's just check you out. So if you're ever dismissive of something, but you're feeling something, just go get checked out.
Yeah, do it. Speaking of which, speaking of dealing with the hard times, it's not always medical. Sometimes it can be social and political and economic. Since it's you and I here, Bob, there's these things that we think about, and everything I see as a historian. It's really a blessing and a curse. But I just wanted to take a minute, since we're talking, and just kind of share some of the thoughts I've been having, kind of our place in history, and hopefully maybe make some people feel better, like not blindness, but maybe sharper focus. What do you think, Bob? You want to hear? Can I get these thoughts off my
always
chest?
Good to get historical context, and to yes, please go ahead. You have the floor.
Yeah. So I think constantly about how grateful I am to live in a world that was shouldered by a lot of hard work by people before me. And this is one of the things I teach in my classes. I'm like, I don't care what your politics are, man. Like, we're all going to reach different conclusions. We're all biased sources. It's absolutely true. We don't have to agree on anything. But to give up, right, or to turn other people as enemies, this isn't fruitful. And one of the things that I hope that you can see in history, if you actually look at it, is, yes, I think the first step as a historian is realizing all the darkness. There's so much darkness in the past. And I think that's where some people stop. And my perspective is that if you keep going and you dive into that darkness, you actually see what a gift it is to have received a world where people also lived in that darkness and they fought to make things better. And right now, Bob, with the way things are going politically and the way people are turning against each other, it's horrible. But don't you remember a time when we didn't do this to each other? I do. No. I remember a time when you could like, families weren't not meeting because of politics, that at least wasn't a common thing. People would disagree, like even during the Iraq War, people would disagree, but it wasn't this stark.
My grandfather, actually both my grandfathers were bartenders.
Yeah.
And bartenders, in that period between the 1940s and the 1970s. And I remember my mom telling me, and I was very young at the time, but she said, they don't talk about, because bartenders, they're talking to everybody all the time. And the rule of the bartender was you don't talk about religion and you don't talk about politics.
Yeah.
That was the rule. And the bartender was everybody's buddy. And they were also sort of an authority figure. But they were a member of the community, like they were like everybody's, they knew everybody's business.
Yeah.
Because they were like they would take the confession from people.
Oh yeah. That's crazy. Yeah. But
no politics, no religion.
Yeah. And the point is that's possible, right? I don't remember politics being so invasive in our individual relationships in terms of like drawing lines.
Then I think it's connected to religion.
It may,
I think it is because we're seeing a decline in church attendance. We're seeing, and I'm not making a case that everybody should go to church on Sunday, but there are these correlations, and correlation is not causation.
No, it's not.
But we're seeing more people are being polled saying that they are less religious or that they don't attend church, and political polarization is on the rise. And I think that it's people are replacing their religion with their politics. And so they're elevating what politics means to them. And this is making people more tribal. And they are elevating politics in their life. And politics is taking a deeper role in their life. And I didn't know we were going to talk about this, so I didn't pull anything to back up what I'm saying. But this is a thread that I believe it could be fruitful to pull on a little bit.
No, I didn't expect we were going to talk about this either, but it's that makes sense in some ways. It doesn't in others. But I think this gets to it is like what does religion fulfill in your life? Because there are the people who have the idea that what we do with faith is to welcome everyone and show love to everyone. And then there are the folks who take their difference, their religious difference, and make it the salient difference with them and the rest of the world. But it's one of these things we've talked a lot on the show, that it's like, it's even within Christianity, even within sects of Christianity, you end up with a broad variety of viewpoints. But I just think that it's gotten more fierce now. The willingness of people to listen to folks in the media who tell them don't listen to the other side at all. You don't need to talk to them. They're all bad. It's demonization. My point is that it's hard, but at least I can remember a time when it wasn't quite this bad. And so that gives me some hope, because when I think about the hardest things people had to overcome, I think about folks who didn't really have a good point of reference for that. And this is why, to me, the civil rights movement is so amazing. I mean, when you think about the gift that those people gave, and people who risked their lives, people who lost their lives to do that, they had no point of reference for a time in America where there was racial equality. They were fighting for an idea. And right now it's February, it's Black History Month, where I think it's the 66th, it was 1960 was the first sit-ins, which had incredible impact. And I think about the strategies of the Southern Civil Rights Movement, and I think there's a lot to learn from that we could use right now, because there's a reason it was effective. And it wasn't just speeches, and it wasn't just individuals. It was a message. And so I just wanted to say to anyone who feels down, like you can't, like nothing will be saved, folks who are hearing folks say, this is it, it's going to be a civil war. Look, people have stared down even darker moments in history. And those people didn't give in to the very reasonable, I think far more reasonable sense in 1960 that this isn't going to work, because historically, there's no precedent for it, but you see it happen. And right now, I feel hopeful. I feel like more than ever, there is a sense that, I think the more hard line of the rhetoric is proven to not work. And I think there's a time right now where more people are willing to listen. And I want to just say that historically, the civil rights movement is a pretty good example of how you can pull people to your side, and actually maybe that's the wrong way to say it. You can pull people to the right side. And if you right now, I think one of the things that's happened is we have become so focused on individuals. We talk about people. We talk about groups of people. But people, even the best people, will let you down sometimes. The only thing that lasts are the ideas and the principles. And the civil rights movement, the rhetoric of all of it, man, if you listen to like the speeches of Dr. King, but read other people who were part of it, it's not about making devils out of other people. It's about encouraging the better angels in all of us. It's about saying the principle is higher than that. Right now, Bob, when you see people engage with each other, they insult each other. It's ad hominem. It's a great fallacy of argument where you say, well, this person did this. But yeah, of course people did wrong things. They're human beings. We all do wrong things sometimes. So like, you're not going to find a saint. So you encourage the ideas. And right now, I think people are feeling, pulled apart from the teams of their parties. We're seeing this, right? I mean, we're seeing, with a lot of the people who supported Trump in the last election, breaking ranks. We're seeing a lot of people who have been diehard Democrats feeling like, hey, well, this party's not serving me. And what I would say, if you want to talk to those people, is to say what the civil rights movement said. It was never, you should join our team. It was always, we're actually all on the same team anyway. Let's stop dividing. We're not trying to get you to join us to fight somebody else. What we're trying to do is get you to join us to uphold the rights that we have all been endowed with by our Creator, these unalienable rights. And whatever a person does to reach there, at the end of the day, if we lose sight of the principles, if we lose sight of the values that actually almost all of us care about, we're going to be led astray. And I hear people constantly complaining about Trump, and that's fine. There's lots of reasons for anybody to complain about any politician. But is the real problem the person, or is the problem that we're talking about the people? I think that's it. Like, for those of you guys who don't like Trump, I want you to get something. Trump's game is about making everything about him.
Yeah. Like, including like a celebrity death, or the women who were victimized and perpetrated against in the Epstein files. Like, no matter what it is, it's about him.
It is about him.
It's all about him.
So if you, in your rhetoric, make everything about him, you're playing by his rules, and he's better at that game than you are. I'm sorry.
He's great at it. I mean, he is like the world champion.
But he's short on consistency.
Yeah.
I think anybody who goes back and looks at this is not me making a value judgment. It's just simply there, right? I mean, we see him changing around. But the problem is if you make everything about him, you play into the people who love him. But the ideas are what matters, right? It's just when you talk to people. I've seen this recently. I've felt spirited again, Bob. I've begun engaging politically on social media with people I care about. And only because I care about them, not because I care about the things. But you know what happens to me, Bob? People attack me. Like, right. I saw someone putting two statistics side by side that made no sense to put together and extrapolating from it. I pointed out that they were logically inconsistent. Someone told me that this was typical of the dogma of so-called crackpot educators at liberal institutions.
Right.
And I simply said that showing the percentage of the population that's white in 1970 next to the number of immigrant households on welfare in 1970, and then showing those statistics side by side to 2025 doesn't prove anything. And it doesn't. You could also point out the fact that as Pizza Hut franchises increased, so did the rate of so to increase the percentage of the white population. Would you then extrapolate that Pizza Hut is the reason that the percentage of the white population has shifted? I wouldn't. Again, let's go back to the correlation thing. But you know what happens is I just don't take the bait. Because whether or not I am a crackpot educator, whether or not I'm waterboarding students at my university, at the end of the day, those two statistics still don't make sense. They don't prove anything.
Yeah.
So go out there and show people you love them. Don't ever engage in the insulting. If you want to bring people on, that regardless of what you think about any politician or your political views, there are some values and some principles, and reason applies. Different people see different things, but you got to show some love to people, because nobody learns from somebody who doesn't care about them. That's just my thoughts.
No, those are great, well articulated thoughts. I think it's important for me personally to prevent myself from engaging the people that I care most about on this kind of stuff, because I need them in my life for when there is sickness and when they are sick, I need their company and their love. And I have so many people that I love I disagree with politically. And I can't imagine going through this life without them in my life. And I have learned as I've gotten older here recently to, when I'm feeling frustrated, and I am every day frustrated about what's going on, I direct it mentally at the people in power. I direct it at Trump. I direct it at those who enable him, which they're worse than Trump. The senators and the congressmen and the governors and the state legislators who, when he says something that is bonkers, twist themselves in pretzels to justify. And he makes a statement and everybody starts at his statement and creates the justification and why. Well, what he really meant is, if you're president of the United States, people shouldn't have to say, they shouldn't have to, like it's a cave painting, interpret what you said so we can all understand it. No, you should speak in a clear language that everyone can understand, but instead you see people on pundits, Republican pundits, people from the right, they twist themselves in pretzels trying to justify what he says or how he acts or how he behaves. And we all know it's whimsical. We all know he's just flying by, he's just going on his emotions, and he's doing what he wants to in the moment. And then there are people that are in his administration and other people in the Republican Party that have true nefarious intentions. They are able to put Project 2025 into reality, into action. And they've done a great job, by the way. They've done a great job. But because he's such an agent of chaos, it is easy for them to do their job. If you just look at Doge.
Oh, yeah.
In January, February, March, April, May of last year, it was all Doge. We haven't thought about Doge in months. But Doge was the wrecking ball that came in and was the first round of attack. It was just this blitzkrieg of defunding and dismantling all these institutional agencies that we have all taken for granted. And it just they didn't save any money. They didn't save a dime. And whatever money they did save, they've spent in other places, like ICE, like $70 billion for ICE, for a domestic police force. So, and also dismantling the war on cancer. They have systematically ended that. Richard Nixon started the war on cancer. They've systematically dismantled it. And so when this upsets me and angers me, which it does every day, there's a new thing that upsets me. I don't ever direct my ire at someone I love who feels another way, or just people I see on social media. I don't ever engage person to person. You have every right to. In my mind, it's about changing votes, having people vote them out, which I think they want to do. So if people get a fair shot here in 2026 in the midterms, I think you'll see a change of the House, at least the House of Representatives, which would be a sign that democracy endures.
Oh, I'm always.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Interrupt. Go ahead. Bob, I'm always a fan of having a divided Congress. It stops anything partisan from being jammed down people's throats. Here's a thought, Bob, right? I think that when you talk about these things, it's more effective to say, should the president do these things, than to say the individual.
Yeah.
Should the president be speaking incoherently? Should the president be threatening other countries? Should the federal government be granted this authority? Because I think that's where you get universal, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think that when
Right.
you can conceptualize, should a president be able to send federal agents in to override your local police force to conduct questionably constitutional searches on people, to be able to detain people with no charges? I think we would all agree no president should be able to do that. And that's the principle. But when you say Trump, people are like, well, I like him or I don't like him. I think we'd be better off to ask ourselves, should a president be able to do that? So we can still ask that question when another president comes into power.
Right. Because you never know, as bad as it is now, it could always be worse.
And if the vengeance
it
becomes...
will be worse.
Yes. Because the vengeance becomes the principle.
Right. We need to protect the checks and balances is what we need to protect. We need to make sure the infrastructure of our government is sound and can withstand the next Trump or the current Trump.
Or the next president who decides to make the federal government their agents, their personal agents.
That could be a Democrat.
Yes.
In the future.
This is my point, is that like, I don't want to stop Trump. I want to stop any president from abusing the liberties of anybody. And I know it's always great when you're riding high, man, but when you're on the other end of it, which you will be eventually, almost certainly.
At some point, yes. And that's the whole point of like using ICE to surround polling places.
Yeah.
That Steve Bannon said the other day.
Yeah, Steve Bannon also mentioned in the Epstein papers.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
This is the thing about the partisanship, Bob, is that based on my social media posts, my Republican and my Democratic friends got two totally different set of documents. Because my friends who are very hard diehard Democrats have found a lot of Republicans and Republican supporters in those papers. And I don't seem to have found many Democrats. My Democratic friends seem to have found a ton of Republicans in there. But I would contend, Bob, that when you look at the list of people who are named in this, there's no political division whatsoever. The common denominator isn't their political party. The common denominator.
The Epstein documents?
Sorry, what did I say?
No, you did. I'm just making sure I understand.
Yeah, and the Epstein documents, using a political lens that we've been saturated in, doesn't actually help you see what the problem is, because you can only see half of it. But if you stand back and you get your political lens off, you can see what happens whenever power gets so incredibly consolidated.
There you go. Yeah.
That people can't get fulfillment unless they can do the next level of thing. Which gets at the fact that like there's no amount of power or money that's ever made somebody happy enough if they strive for those things.
Yeah, yeah. What you know? There's a thread here. There's a thread that is the same thread of why so many put Trump in power, and what Epstein represents is the same thing, because Trump represented for many taking down a corrupt system, a system which had been corrupted, an elite which protected the elite. And that's why in 2016, a lot of people voted for Trump. That's why he rose to power. And what has happened now in Trump 2.2 is he has enriched himself beyond, $5 billion since he's come. It is not even, it's not even cut. They don't even like pretend the Trump family is not enriched. It is insane, the corruption that's going on.
Oh,
right?
Just to add this in here, Bob, to his point, the money from these Venezuelan oil fields was put into an account that Trump controls outside of the country.
So, but now we have these Epstein files, and you see both Republicans, Democrats, and elite business people are all wrapped into this. Hollywood is wrapped into it. The Republican Party is wrapped into it. Trump is it hurts. Like, I saw a list of people who are mentioned in the documents, and Trump is at the top with like 38,000 mentions. And then there's like Reed, who's the guy from LinkedIn. He's like number 2. And anyway, like there's you have tech leaders, you have Republicans, you have Democrats. There was a lawyer in the Obama administration who protected these elite men and attacked the women in court cases and with the FBI and when they were trying to have justice. So this represents an elitism and an elite class that Trump was going to take down, but he's actually deeply embedded in it himself. And so the next phase of populism that we'll see, it will be the destruction. Like it will be like there's a place for a Democrat or an independent to come in and say, or a Republican to come in and say, look, we were right. The problem was this elite who is protected. But the guy who said he was going to take him down is actually like a part of it. He's deeply embedded in it. So now it's like, I'm not going to name any names, but there are some politicians out there who could run in 28 and run on the dismantling of protections for these elites. I don't know.
Yeah,
but we're not done with our populist moment. There's another phase to come, which could be uglier than the first phase.
I just think, but I think, again, Bob, this goes back to what I was saying, is that like a partisan lens is failing us to evaluate the problems that we're in.
Yeah. Yeah, but we're not going to lose that. Like, yeah, but that's never going to go away. And I'm sorry to cut you off here, but to go back to the 1830s and 1840s, the focus of my book, it's the partisan lens is there, and it's ugly and it's mob violence. 1835 is, I'm talking about not like Jimmy Hoffa mob or Al Capone mob. I'm talking about like mobs, like people in the streets with brick bats and torches. The year of the most mob violence in the streets of America isn't 1968. It's 1835. And every newspaper is partisan. Every single newspaper is partisan. That is what the press is. It's partisan. So, we will always have that. Like that will not go away. That's never going to go away. We're always going to see things in a partisan way, but let's hope that the strength of the side for good outweighs the strength of the side for bad. And it's like where in years past I didn't want to say, well, Trump bad, Trump policy's bad. Trump has there are some things that like he shut down the border. Like, yes, Biden left the border. The border was open, right? And it probably shouldn't be open. And Trump shut down the border, and that is something that he could be credited with. But then, rather than like say, okay, we've stopped the flow of people coming across the border. Let's now put policies in place to make it fair for the people who've been here for 30 years. They have a pathway to citizenship. Maybe they can't vote, but maybe they can be guest workers and, guests in this country, whatever. Like this is the moment where he could, pivot to policy and reimagine the American immigration system in a way that is humane and fair. Instead, what do we see? Violence, ICE.
Using it to stoke, using it as an outlet for people's rage. Right.
So where the idea is right, immigration reform, the action, the plan of action is horrible. Is bad. I can say good, bad. No, I can say it's bad. What they've done to cancer research in this country, I could say is bad. Like, I have no problem saying that.
Lives are on the line. Absolutely.
Lives are on the line. What they have done attacking law firms and media companies, it's bad. I feel like I stand on solid ground saying those things.
Yeah, no, and I agree. And so the issue becomes, Bob, first of all, remembering that, again, the principles. You're right. This is the thing that got me too, is like even with the Biden student loan forgiveness plan, which I see my students racking up debt. I would like to see some solution to that. But just paying off people's loans, paying off some of the loans without solving the problems of college costs and of financing and of opportunity, you're not actually solving the problem. In the same sense that just going after the immigrants who are here is not solving the problem. But that problem is one that must be solved by Congress. That is in the Constitution.
Smirkanish always talks about the short order cook in New Jersey. He's all for the criminal who's here. Having that person removed, the immigrant, the illegal criminal, right? But there's the short order cook from New Jersey who's been here for 20, 30 years, has raised a family. Like, his crime was coming here illegally, and that's what he did wrong. And he should be treated differently than, and for me personally, where I live, my example of that is there was a bus driver at Duke University, a guy who was a shuttle driver. Like, he would shuttle people from the parking lot to the campus. He'd been here since the 90s. He came illegally. He came from like Honduras or something. He got married here. He had kids who were Americans, raised a family, and he was deported. He was deported, this year. Yeah. And that's wrong. Maybe these people shouldn't be voters. But maybe they should be able to stay.
But here's the thing. If they're working, then they're clearly fulfilling a need that we have.
By the way, they're fulfilling a need we have for labor. They're also paying taxes.
Yeah, that's another thing. Is that they're not paying taxes. It's like, word in Tennessee, it's all sales tax. But this gets at a bigger issue here, man, is that I get there's this narrative that they're just coming here to live off of the welfare state. That's not exactly easy to do if you're also trying to hide from the federal government, but it does happen, no doubt. But again, there's a need for labor in this country. The problem is that there's not a way for people who are here that need workers to bring workers in ethically and legally that's effective. I mean, you could look at the H-2A program, which was set up in North Carolina with Flock after the pickle boycotts. You remember this when Mount Olive had those boycotts and the settlement? Yeah. They went in and investigated and found they had been violating all these laws. In North Carolina, the outcome was that the terms were that the growers in North Carolina had to go through a union called Flock, the Farm Labor Organizing Committee. And you know what that did? It made sure that the folks who came here for agricultural work, which is seasonal, then the growers were responsible for making sure they had transportation here and making sure they had transportation back in the off season, so they weren't doing other work or they weren't here in the meantime. And by almost every check and balance, except for the fact that it probably costs a little bit more money, I mean, Mount Olive's still doing okay. So the folks who were growers, one of the problems they had was if they have a seasonal worker and the worker leaves to find work in the meantime, how do you find that person if they're great to bring them back? Well, now you did. You had a set up that was there. They had to demonstrate they needed the labor, so you weren't talking about hiring people to replace Americans. And then you had a flow of people who could come here, do work that was needed to do, but then had the means to go back and spend the rest of the time with their families, which a lot of people would like to do. And it was a legal setup that actually acknowledged the needs of both the growers and the workers. And that's reasonable. And it doesn't make anybody an enemy. And that's the kind of thing that Congress could do thoughtfully. But it just seems to, again, when we buy into the partisanship, the different sides of the story fuel people for the rage that gets people to vote these days.
That issue has been a great friend to the Republican Party over the past decade for driving out voters. Just like healthcare is a great friend to Democrats to drive out voters. You have these pet issues that if you actually solve them, you couldn't run on them anymore.
That's so sad, man.
It is sad.
That's like me being like, well, if I actually get rid of this cancer, nobody's going to send me sympathy cards anymore. It's like, right. Dude, at some point, you're the problem, not the issue. And that's why you got to see past the partisan lines, man. And this is the thing, is I'm not saying partisanship will go away. I'm not saying it needs to go away. Parties serve functions. But I'm saying that if you follow the party before you look at the principles, you're just going to be led on a wild goose chase like we just pointed out.
It makes me want to go back and reread, and I haven't read it in so many years, Sean Wilent's Egalitarians and Politicians.
Yeah.
Because where change has happened politically, it's actually been the politicians who've made the change.
But
not the egalitarians.
Yeah, sure. But I mean, the politicians reflect the dominant needs of the day.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot to be learned there. I just also think that, again, I am very concerned about what was going on with Epstein. And I'm telling you this, whatever partisan exists or doesn't exist, whether it will be here forever or it won't be here, that's not a problem you're going to solve until you understand that the problem with what's going on politically right now is that we as people have tolerated the concentration of power in the hands of a small group of people. And just if you can go back to the wisdom of the founders, these were guys who had power economically, they had power politically, but they understood that even the best people, when given too much power, are subject to becoming corrupt. This isn't about you. It isn't about me. It isn't about Trump. It isn't about Hillary Clinton. What it is about is that we as human beings have a tendency to get enough power. And if we get it, we can tell stories. As to quote one of the lyrics of your band, we start believing the words to our own songs, Bob.
That's true.
And we don't have to listen to anyone who disagrees. And we're championed and cheered for by people who like us because we like it with the power. We got the power. They love us because we got the power and we're telling them what they want to hear. But at the end of the day, if you don't really look back and understand the founding, the idea of securing liberty and understanding that giving anybody too much power, if you love somebody, don't do that to them. And if you've done that to them, it might be time to love them enough to take it away. Throw the ring in Mordor.
Right. Once again, Washington being the apt example here of giving away power, right?
Yes. I mean, that's why one of the reasons they were willing to create an executive is they're like, well, at least we know the first guy doesn't want the job, so we'll force it on him.
Yeah.
And then after that, you can see it happening, man. Washington is a model, but he's a human being. And like all human beings, he's unique. And we can't rely on having a magic person whose quality, even though he can't see the abuse of power with slavery, he has trouble with that.
He did own a judge. He definitely abused. He committed obstruction of justice trying to get, he had an enslaved woman own a judge who escaped. And he subverted the fugitive slave law that he signed into law. He subverted it to try to get her back. He used his office to try. He never did get her back, but we can't forget that. But we need to hold it all together. That he was also, he's human. He's corrupt. I mean, and that's another thing. Like, we are so privy to the details, the ugly details of human lives these days, that every president would have been canceled. No one could be elected to anything by purity standards. And so we really, as human beings, we've got to, speaking of pickles, we're in a bit of a pickle.
We are, and
forward.
if we care about the person and not about the person upholding the principles.
Yeah.
The principles have to come first. And I get it. People saying this is pie in the sky, but you know what? As I tell my son, you can't control everyone else. You can only control you.
What if, I just literally thought of this in this moment. What if you can't have complete party control? Like, you're not allowed to, how do we still elect our representatives, but a party is not allowed to have the House, Senate, and the executive branch at the same time? Like, there always has to be a check. Like, you get three bodies, right? You got the House, and they have to choose the party that win. I'm just literally riffing off the top of my head, and this is almost like 3 a.m. drunk talk here. But so let's say the Republican Party, they won the presidency. They won the House and the Senate. They did that 2024. They did it legitimately, right?
Yes,
they
yes.
won
I don't question those results.
They won the House, the Senate, the presidency. What if there was a constitutional amendment where those party leaders had to decide, maybe there's a caucus of Republicans, right? And they have to choose one of those bodies to give to the minority, to the Democratic Party. So you can't, so they have to make a decision. Well, you know what? We've got the presidency. Well, we want the Senate so we can get the Supreme Court justices and the appointments, but we're going to give that the Senate. We'll give the Senate to the Democrats because we think the House is kind of more important. Or they say, you know what? We've got the executive, we got the Senate, we can have all our nominations and control the third branch of government. Let's give the House. I don't know.
I've got one for you, Bob. Here's a way we actually probably do this. Okay, what if there was a third branch of government called the Supreme Court, and instead of allowing the dominant party with 51 votes to put someone on there with their clear partisan ticket, there was a 2/3 standard for all appointments to be nominated in the Senate, so that no highly partisan member of the Supreme Court could be there. So we would never have a federal government completely controlled by any one party.
No one would go for that. That would never happen.
That would never happen. I love it. Right. You sound like somebody screaming at the Omaha platform in the 1890s. 8-hour workday. What are you talking about? Right. Are you crazy?
That's right. Yeah.
We only make 10% profit. You've got to work 12 hours. If you take the last 4 away, then we won't make any profit, which is a real argument they made, as if it wasn't hourly in industrial production.
What was William Jennings Bryan's famous cross of gold, right?
Yeah. Crucify me on it.
Cross of gold. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that would be good. We need checks and balances. We need them.
I'll also point out to you guys. I always want to point this out with people, Bob, because this is the thing. All right, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I have to add this. Fine. People right now listening are probably going, and because I know this, because people say this to me when I say 2/3 Senate approval, they will say to me, "You'd never get a Supreme Court justice approved that way." The same clause in the Constitution that says that the president shall, with the advice and consent of the Senate, nominate, Supreme Court justices. In that exact same portion of the Constitution, it says he may, with 2/3 consent of the Senate, negotiate foreign treaties. Which means that if nothing were able to get 2/3 vote in the Senate, then you would have never had any foreign treaties negotiated. Every foreign treaty that is negotiated has 2/3 approval of the Senate. It can be done. We've just accepted that it can't be done because
we did it up until Harry Reid blew up the filibuster for Supreme Court justices.
It was a 60 vote majority.
McConnell did that. So Harry Reid did for judges, not Supreme Court judges, and then McConnell blew up the Supreme Court judges.
And McConnell said, if you do that, Harry Reid, you're going to be sorry for it.
That's right.
Tit for tat again.
Yeah.
Is not good for any of us. Anyway.
Okay. We're good here. We can go on all day. Ben, this has been great. I've enjoyed catching up with you.
Likewise, man. And just to call back, every good set ends with a callback. Guys, check out Bob's book. That link is right in the comments to this. And if you're listening, we're going to put that on our Bitly link. So you guys can go to rtnpod.me/listen. And we will put a link to Bob's book right there alongside our other links. So if you're listening maybe somewhere and you don't have your link right in your app, rtnpod.me/listen, all lowercase, a link to buy Bob's book will be right there.
America's founding son, John Quincy Adams, from president to political maverick.
Political maverick. God bless him. God bless you, Bob, and God bless everybody who listens.
God bless you, Ben Sawyer.
Thank you for listening to The Road to Now. If you enjoyed this episode, please tell the world by giving us 5 stars and a review on Apple Podcasts or 5 stars on Spotify. Or spread the word directly. Just text a friend maybe, or share a link on social media. Anything helps and we appreciate it. And if you've got a friend who hasn't gotten into podcasts yet, let them know they can hear us every weekend on SiriusXM's POTUS Channel 124. Now is the time when we say our special thanks to our supporters on Patreon and give a shout out to our Washingtonians. That list is Tanya Marsh, Mary Hawking, Tim and Caitlin Wells, Fig White, Matt Williams, Team Martin, Ann Williams and Frank Edwards, Nate Farrer, Jennifer and Magnolia, Chris and Teresa Adams, Joy Avery, Edward Carlson, and Aaron and Derek Garrison. Thanks to all you guys for supporting us. If you want to support our work and maybe get on that list, you can join us on Patreon at patreon.com/theroadtonow. You'll get extended versions of select conversations, extra episodes, bonus materials, and more. That's all available at patreon.com/theroadtonow. For more on the show, visit our website, theroadtonow.com, where you can easily search our back catalog and quickly find links to content. Why is it so good? 7 Ages Design. That's who made it. If you're looking for a website, go check them out. The Road to Now is hosted and produced by Bob Crawford and me, Ben Sawyer. Our associate producer is Gary Fletcher. This episode was edited by Ben Sawyer, and our theme music, like pretty much always, was by Paul DeFiglia. For Bob Crawford, this is Ben Sawyer. Thank you for listening. Take care.